So they will be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. In the last episode we saw quite a few things happen, in fact a lot of things. First of all, we had the dissolution of the African Union, we had some nations over in here lose land, and overall across the world we had nations lose land, like the Central Asian nation Socio over in here in Siberia. And then we also had here some of the storyline of the pirates continue over in here, as they're getting very close to meeting up with the nation of Raksim. So let's stop talking and get straight into this video. First of all, we are gonna go here into the Saharan region, where Herneland is becoming very, and I mean very unstable. Their instability goes through the roof. It's just insane instability. Pretty much the state is anarchist, and after all this struggle comes, we'll have the dissolution of Herneland and its state. And now without Herneland, Kimrosh is asking itself what they should do with their lives, and this is a pretty good question, as now they are left in the middle of the Sahara with little to no resources, so they might see a similar fate soon. Now Zerasia is experiencing similar instability to all the nations currently in the world, and they will make the decision to only keep their little lake area around here and release all the far outside territories over in here, releasing the 3 provinces, and they'll release them just like that, and they keep the rest, and now they're a way more stable and a way stronger nation, as now they get rid of the territories they really didn't want. Going away from them now, Silaria will have a similar fate to them, not as bad as one though, as they will only be releasing this 1 province. It's pretty much for the same reasons as all the other nations. It's just useless land that takes them up too many resources, so they decide that this is the best for their nation, and they are a way more humane size for a nation. Now to Sabrosia, it's a nation that has already released territory, as they released these northern European islands, but their instability just doesn't stop growing, as now they are also forced to release this territory. This time they are literally forced, because there's like some foreign tribes that are attacking them from this side into this province, and it's better to not get that smoke with the tribes, so they do this by releasing this 1 province. Also the instability for them is going through the roof, is just insane. And we'll have Sabrosia release this island, the 1 province, and the other island, and now they are again way smaller, and again they are starting to get a bit more stable, but maybe there's still some land left. Well, why am I saying this? Well, this is for a very good reason, as now going to Ivoria will have them experiencing some heavy instability, which will kind of force them into having to release some land over in here. This is alarmingly close to their capital, so it's not very good that they are having to release this land, but when it just gets too unstable, this is what they do. And this new nation doesn't just keep all the land from Ivoria, they also take this 1 province from Sabrosia. Poor Sabrosia is crying underneath, as they pretty much lost like 90% of their land. Legend says they're gonna get a very big revenge arc though. But for now that will not be the case, as we'll have the formation of this kind of seafoam green colored Russian state forming around in here. Now Mantesia will find itself very unstable. They are a very huge nation, so maybe they should have expected this. Legend says they did, but they were formed a very long time ago as kind of like a checkpoint for explorers to kind of be able to move from them into the big east. But now, as basically all that has been discovered, they've been quite a useless nation. They haven't really done much, they haven't really helped anybody. So because of this we are having this state in here break away from them, and it's gonna be a huge part of their nation. Essentially, the state of Mentasia will be broken apart into two pieces, with this being the new state, and it will release over in here. And as for the capitals of the two new states, first of all, the new blue state in here will have its capital here in the south, very close to the border with Ivoria. And as for the seafoam green state, it will have its capital roughly towards the middle west of the nation, in between Ivoria and Sabroja. But now we need to go over to Algely. In the last episode we saw the breakup of the African Union that they had over here with Lovia, or what's now the successor state of Lovia. And although they are the original nation being Algely, this new successor state of Lovia is not Lovia, it's a successor state to it. The reason I'm still calling it Lovia is because I didn't find a name for it, but once I find, we'll stop referring to this nation as Lovia and just whatever the new name is, and we are just gonna see it as the successor state to it. But Algely, it's literally almost the same state, it's literally the same name and almost the same flag, and that's not really good for them. Their culture has suffered from the times they're part of Merodria, and with this we see a lot of split between the people here in the Morocco region and here into the Algerian Tunisian area. So we'll unfortunately have the split of Algely, but thankfully this split is made peacefully without any fighting. This is how Algely will get split between its two new states. First of all, we are gonna have in the east, here into the Algerian Tunisian parts, we'll have a new state being formed in here, and in the west we are gonna have this Moroccan state being formed. And with this we see the split of Algely right after it came back, unfortunately. Is it unfortunate? Yes, but they did this so that they do not risk any fighting between their territories, and this allows them to kind of have a better relation between the states over here in Morocco, Tunis and Libya, and also for the capital of the Moroccan state. The capital of the Moroccan state will be here into this major city of the state. But going away from the split of Algely, we're now gonna go to another nation collapsing. Guess what? There's a lot of nations collapsing in this era, and we are gonna go back to the little state here into Central Asia. These guys really can't catch a break. They also had to release this province in the last episode, and now they're gonna be releasing two, as these two provinces will split away from the nation. Pretty much people have figured out that in this nation, if you are revolting enough and protesting against the government, you'll basically get permission to get your independence, and this is what happens as this state also turns independent. They will decide to plop their capital right here on the border to the Grey Nation. I'm sure this is a wonderful idea and will cause absolutely no issues to them, and this will be the greatest idea they ever had. But actually not really, because now we need to talk about the Grey Nation. As we can see, the Grey Team, or Melumia, is a democratic nation. They really had no issues with their government until now, as they experienced a lot of instability. There's like 3 different parts of the nation that want to split away from the main government, and this will not sit very well with the leaders, and more exactly with the main ruler of the nation. So we'll kind of have him basically come over and take full control of the nation and turning it into a dictatorship, so that he can like take control of the nation, and basically what he says will make it more stable. We'll see about that. And now going to Zirdia, aka one of the most unknown nations in my week, so even they can't escape instability, as they're gonna have this one province breakaway. The province will break away in this region. This is kind of the more outer area of the nation. Now let's remember Zirdia was formed because of literal drunk people. So they aren't necessarily the most stable of nations, but over centuries they have accumulated power and stability. But it's not really enough to keep control of them to the point that they would be able to keep control of all their nation. Their capital will be here in the very northern tip of Iceland, and this also does it for their capital. But these guys have a pretty cool idea. This idea is to explore. Now we are in about 1000 AD, and he feels that like by this point, about almost 5000 years of civilization, the earth should just be fully discovered, and he will try to help with that as he sends some explorer groups and they find Greenland, and this is the first time people have ever been into North America, as Greenland is and will also be in this timeline considered part of North America. So this is a very huge step for humans, but they don't really discover mainland North America, so for now this isn't like anything huge, but it would be for them as the little nation that they are, as they discover a huge piece of land that maybe in the future they might be able to claim. They explore around all of this, and after they explore all of this they kinda go back and tell everyone what they have found. They have done one of the greatest human explorations since the mass explorations that happened over here in Asia. Now going over here to the nation of Raksim and the pirates, yeah, the inevitable happens and the two groups meet each other and they are kinda staring at each other, very confused. Now Raksim knows about the rest of the world obviously, but the pirates, I mean, they also had an idea of who they were, but weren't really very notified about what they are. So they end up clashing and it's very easily the pirates that win. They destroy Raksim, and now we are gonna have the establishment of the pirate state. And the pirate state will form itself around here into the Isle of Java, Indonesia, while also taking some of these territories in Sumatra, but similar to the theme of the era, they are not gonna become too big as instability is still a thing for them. And surprisingly enough, the pirate group will even get the capital, which is quite interesting as, you know, they weren't really very land based. It's only really now that they kind of started to settle the land. They are like kind of boat people, but after they formed their state and embarrassed Raksim in the war, they'll now go and explore even more of the Indonesian archipelago, as now they discover Timor-Leste, and now they'll go and explore some more islands. You know, the rivalry between these two will kind of become the theme of this region, as now Borneo starts to get a bit explored, not too much though, as this is not their main focus. Also, Raksim will attempt to kind of discover a bit of it. They also meet up with them, with the pirate group, and the pirate group embarrasses them again. But at the end of the day, these guys keep going like this, exploring territory and doing pretty well. They discover a lot of these islands in here and having overall a pretty great time discovering land. And by the end of the exploration, this is what they discover. Now going to Persia, it's once again gonna have kinda a bit too much instability for their own will. Will now end up rebellious, and there's gonna be some pretty harsh fighting in here by Persia, but overall they will have to release them as the group is getting a bit too rebellious and a bit too dangerous, and a lot of people get killed in this. But at the end of the day they gain their independence, so I guess for them it was worth. Not really the Persians though. As for their capital, it would be on this Indian peninsula right around there. Anyway, that will do it for today's video. This video was very eventful, and again, if videos are getting shorter, this is kind of what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make them shorter but more eventful, and I think I'm so far achieving this pretty well. So again, that'll do it for today's video. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.